Let's start in on a week of random reviews I keep meaning to get to and just kept putting off, and I have no idea why, because we're going to be talking about the little guys of the Titans Return line. Well, not the really little guys, the kind of little guys, aka we're going Legend scale this week, and we're going to be discussing some of the newest offerings in the size class, starting with Bumblebee, because of course every Transformer line needs a Bumblebee or 2 or 8 or 15. Can't wait for the new Bumblebee movie next year, huh, guys? So we're looking at the Legends class, which is very much kind of a tiny version of the classics Bumblebee. It couldn't quite be a Volkswagen Bug for copyright purposes, but he's got a very squat, almost kind of Mini Cooper look to him going on here, trying to create a semblance of the G1's form without actually needing to license a vehicle. It's not bad. It's a little tiny inoffensive yellow car. Nothing too bad about that. Rolls fine and everything. Little tiny spoiler on the back. Not bad. Little details are included. Little tiny pieces where you can see rearview mirrors. You can see the handles. You can see little vents here in the sides. So at least they did have some attention to detail going on. And nice paint detail going on as well. I like the black stripe down the side, as well as the gray and silver going on in the front for lights and grills and whatnot. Even the back, tail lights tend to get skipped these days, but they are included here, right down to a handle for the trunk of all things. And then the license plate in the back reading 100 STRA. I have no idea what that means. You used to find out what those little random markings on certain Transformers meant. You don't really find that anymore, which is kind of surprising. But I always kind of knew. There's always kind of a story behind it. We just rarely get to see it these days. So overall, vehicle mode, not terrible or anything. But I've got complaints. I've got two in particular. One is he is quite broken up. You can see a lot of panel lines on areas you would expect to be smooth, like the hood and across the top section here and across to the back. I don't mind it here so much because, hey, it looks like a door, but this is kind of broken. That's unfortunate. The other thing, well, we kind of have to demonstrate what's going on here because Scout class toys in this line can also accommodate the Titan Masters, and they do it by providing rides. So to open Bumblebee up, we have to unpeg the sides in order to clear this bumper, and then we can lift the entire section up and reveal there was a Titan Master riding inside him all along, who sits in there quite snugly, giving a lift to whoever should happen to need it. It's a nice little integration. It's the same type of thing that Wheelie had going on, except Bumblebee's actually works, and it works without making the vehicle flimsy. Like, even with this up, he still holds together pretty well. So that's a far, far better improvement than I could have hoped for out of this. It actually proves that this little gimmick of basically making a hollow vehicle that a Titan Master rides inside actually works when it's engineered right. Here's the odd thing about the toy. I'm not sure if I'm actually getting this on camera. In the bright lights, it's a little bit harder to see, but can you tell how the area around here, the yellow is a different shade? It's a brighter, a little bit paler than the rest of it. It's because this entire section, as you can see if I flip it up, is molded in black and then painted over in the yellow. This is something they normally do with the windshields in order to make them translucent. It's why you see paint match issues where it's kind of difficult to get paint to match natural plastic color. They normally do this for windshields so you can actually see through and they still keep the solid look of the toy, or of the vehicle. And I don't know why Bumblebee seems to be designed to do this right down to the paint mask still working, but instead of a translucent blue or smoke color or whatever you would use, they went with flat black plastic, which means you don't even get to see the Titan Master riding inside. And there's even details like, you see that little line of yellow there at the corner? It's repeated over here, which seems to indicate that even this black line is not molded plastic, it's paint. They actually painted black lines onto black plastic because it is designed to be translucent. It's not designed to be black. I don't know why Hasbro went with this. I'm presuming Takara will actually go the opposite route, but it's an oddity of the toy, and I've never quite been able to figure out Hasbro's reasoning. I really wish it was clear so I could see the Titan Master riding inside. But hey, as long as we got this thing flipped up, we can go to vehicle mode, or robot mode now. Fold up all that into the center. Now for this, we can unpeg the door sections from the front, pull out on the hinges, just like so. The legs, accordion out, and pretty much just on one good tug, we'll go straight into how they should be in the robot mode, which is always nice and convenient. Put the double hinge down in order to tab the top of Bumblebee's head in. And just like that, he's a very quick transformation to get him into his robot mode. And he's a little bit odd once we get to robot mode. He's got the short and kind of stout nature of the original Bumblebee. Very, very wide-bodied, though. Very wide-shouldered. This is Bumblebee hitting the gym a lot. It's rather than like the pudgy look that he kind of had in the G1 cartoon and the original toy, going for a little bit more of something that could be capable of surviving in a fight, I guess. The head is straight up G1, right out of the cartoon. Very soft eyes and subtle smile. Very rounded details to the face, right down to the G1 horns and everything. He is very much the original friendly Autobot that was nice to befriend humans and didn't look like some like horrid beast from the netherworld that movie Bumblebee turns into sometimes. Nope, straight up nice guy Bumblebee. And that's the way I kind of prefer him. So looking at him in robot mode, like I said, he's very wide-chested, very wide-shouldered for someone who is supposed to be the scout of the Autobots. In general, he again comes across like a tiny version of Classics Bumblebee, where he's got these really, really big feet going on here, and very, very G1-ish proportions. They both kind of stick to where the toy goes, but you can see where they just kind of stick to the animation model where they can, but they also, as you can see, go for very similar designs to the transformation. The doors stuck to the arms, for instance, the big feet going on. A lot of similarities. It's like just like a tiny version of that toy, which is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a few things that don't quite make it over in the translation of sizes, though. For instance, they don't really have anything to do with the rear panels of the vehicle, so he has these massive things sticking off the front of his arms. This is the kind of thing I don't think I would mind so much if it was toward the back, but being in front means it obstructs whatever he's got in his hand. If I want him to hold a gun, for instance, he does have the 5mm port, so he can hold a standard weapon, but if I want to bend his elbow to hold it upright without straightening his shoulder forward, I'm losing a lot of room, and it's not likely that I'm going to be able to do it, which is kind of a big drawback. It's a really awkward placement. I feel like on a larger toy would fold away or rotate to the back or something. This is just like it's hindering. See, look how much nicer that looks. It would have been so much better. Don't get that though. This is what we're stuck with, which is kind of unfortunate. So beyond that, what's going on here? Well, head does have full rotation, shoulders ball jointed, decently cut, and you do have an extra hinge from the transformation to use if you so choose to use it. Ball joints at the elbows mean you get full rotation and a pretty nice bend there. At the waist, nothing at all. But you do have hips that work, nice ball joints there. Knees have a nice 90-degree bend to them. There's no ankle rock and there's no thigh swivel, which is a little bit disappointing. Not that Bumblebee's like too nimble of a guy, but he does lack a little bit of poseability compared to some toys of the size class I have goofed with. Now, the toy itself, rather inoffensive. Like, it's just kind of there. I would say, if you got a Classics lineup on your shelves, he is definitely more to the size you would expect Bumblebee to be compared to the rest of the G1 cast. So in that sense, I think he finds a place. But for the most part, he just kind of feels like, well, it's another Bumblebee. I don't know, that's just a comment, like, he just feels kind of average for the line. I don't think he does anything egregiously wrong. Okay, well, maybe the shoulder kibble. But for the most part, he just kind of is there. There's nothing outstanding, nothing disappointing. It's just a straight run-of-the-mill Bumblebee. I give him enough credit, and he is not like my look. He's not one of those toys where I'm looking for the most average of toys, because I really like the ride gimmick. I'm just waiting for the Takara version where, hopefully, they will actually use this toy, as it does seem to be designed to have a translucent windshield all the way around, right down to the paint mask, really seeming to be designed around having it. But that said, that is Titans Return Bumblebee, the first of this week's Legends class reviews. Next up, we might get a little bit buggy. Not to hint too heavily, but yeah, it's going to be Kickback.